Hello, everyone, and welcome to Art as Therapy. My name is Teacher Maita, and I hope you will enjoy this session. Now, I used to teach some kids, some underprivileged kids, and actually anyone who would invite me to help me or ask me to help them express themselves through art. I also do sessions with writing. So this one is Marilac Hills. It is a DSWD center for women and girls. So we did writing exercise as a form of expression. So I didn't ask them to relive anything painful. That's not the point of this exercise. The point is for them to decompress and just express through creativity. So this is all to really bring out their talents for those who want to write or maybe draw poetry and things like that. So we had different activities throughout the day. All right, so for this activity, for this session, you will need a thick paper and you will need coloring materials, masking tape, or pencil. Now, if you don't have masking tape or painter's tape, you could also just use a ruler and pencil. So that would be fine. We're just using the tape to divide our lines. So any kind of coloring materials will do. You want to use crayon is good, pencil color, watercolor even, or markers. Just make sure that your paper can take the coloring medium. So if you're using bond paper or copy paper and you want to use watercolor, your paper might warp. So if you have a sketchbook, it's a little thicker than the usual paper, that would do too. So whatever paper that you have handy with you will be the best. So this session is here to relieve you of some anxiety and decompress via art. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor. All right, so this isn't that kind of therapy. Now please finish the session in order to gain the full experience. The most important part of this is the reflection. Creating art is not therapy until one reflects on their path, the journey to create. Otherwise, I guess it's just art. How to get the most out of this session? We're going to do a simple breathing exercise. Follow the process, trust the process, and the writing process after the art is important. As I said, without it, you just made art. And this is not in place of a doctor. If you're feeling, you know, like a full-blown anxiety, this could be just like first aid until you get to contact your doctor. All right, or while maybe you're waiting for your doctor to help or to schedule you, you can do some of these activities. So this is what art therapy is not, or art as therapy. We can't diagnose you. We can't know what each symbol means. And your art is not meant to be pretty. Okay, let me explain. We can't diagnose you. That is not the point of this. That is the job of a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And we don't know, we don't have an umbrella meaning for, let's say, you color the whole thing red. Does that mean you're an angry person? No, it is not, because certain symbols, certain colors would be different for you. Example, for me, the color red is something celebratory. So if I have red, it means bright, it means celebration, you know? So it doesn't mean like I'm an angry person. If you put some thorns there, does that mean you're a spiky person? It's not. What those symbols are will mean something uniquely to you, because these things will be brought out by your experiences, and that is the reflection part. You will look at it and say, hey, what does this mean to me? I drew a rainbow. Why? I put these colors, these specific colors. What do these mean to me personally? And of course, while we're doing this, when we are putting ourselves in in this mind frame that we are doing this to express, to explore our deepest selves. It's not meant to be pretty. It's not that kind of art session. All right, so there are many watercoloring session, pencil coloring session out there. This is not it. I'm not going to show you how to do particular strokes. We're not going to be tackling elements of arts and principles of design. Those things go out the window when we are doing these kinds of session. All right, so when we're doing this session, don't judge your art. As I said, it's not meant to be pretty. Don't over analyze things. We are going to analyze it, but don't over analyze it. Sometimes you want to put a flower just because you feel like putting a flower. It might not mean anything. So don't over analyze things. So not everything will have meaning. Sometimes it's just a feeling that propels you. You might come back to it and say, oh, this might be a recurring theme for me. Might be not. So don't judge yourself. Don't judge your art. Don't overly analyze. If it speaks to you, let it speak to you. If it doesn't, let's move on. Now, this is a safe zone. There is no judgment in your artwork. So if you don't want to show anybody, don't show anyone. It's there to express and trying to understand ourselves. All right? So the thing with art therapy or art as therapy, the artist heals their mind and heart through the process of creating art. So let's do our first activity, which is the first step. Make sure you are in a sitting position. Your feet are both planted solidly in the ground. Your hands could be on your sides, on your lap. Just make sure it's relaxed. You want to stretch a little bit before we stretch or before we breathe, you may do so. All right, so this is the first step. We are going to breathe. All right, so inhale 4 seconds in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's okay to give some sounds. It's all right. If you are not alone, up to you. If you're alone, you can create any sound you want. Now, one last. 4 seconds in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds out. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I hope you felt better. We are now going to begin our first artwork. So let's start with a blank paper. You're going to start with a clear or a clean sheet of paper. And what you're going to do is we are going to draw a human figure that represents you. And in it, we're going to put our mood for today, not your mood yesterday or what you feel like your mood tomorrow will be, just in the present, in the moment. Now, about drawing something here, you don't have to make an anatomically correct human person. This is just a representation. You want to make like a gingerbread looking character, a doll looking character, stick figures even. Just make sure you can color inside so it's not quite stick. There is some areas in it that I'd like you to fill out. So look at my drawing. I don't need you to copy it. I just feel like doing some waves around it. So that's just me. Up to you if you want to do this or not. And I like to put myself in a skirt because I love wearing dresses and I like cute skirts or knee-length skirts. Now this is also an option. Do you want to put a face or you don't want to put a face? I want to put a face because my mood for today and actually recently I've been lacking of sleep, so it's more like a sleepy face, but then I have to put on makeup because I have to teach. So I put lipstick because when I'm in Zoom or Google Meet, the best thing to have is lipstick and then you're fine. Next, I want to put details and textures, and these will all manifest through my dress. So I'm going to be using a mixture of mediums here. So you can use a crayon, you can use markers, you can use pencil colors. I'm going to be using a mixture of them. If you can see here, I've used markers, I've used metallic markers, and now I'm using metallic paint. All right, so fill in some textures, anything that comes to your mind, just fill it up. You want to put like flowers on it. So here I'm feeling very domesticated, and this will represent with an apron. But usually when I'm doing my domestic chores, it kind of feels like an obstacle course. Hence, I am drawing a puzzle pattern on my skirt. So as I said, these meanings will be dependent on you. It's very different for each person. No one person will have the same pattern or same thing inside. All right, so guys, when you're doing this, just let it flow. What do you feel like putting here? It could be just colors. If you don't want to put texture, that's fine. You can just put in colors, fill it up. You want to fill the whole thing with color, or you just want a little portion of it in certain colors, that's fine too. All right? So I'm gonna fill in some more textures here. I'm gonna put some stars, some asterisks, some circles, because I want a lot of texture to happen in this mood of mine, because I am feeling a bit textury. But as I said, you can fill this up with anything you want. So if it's just a color that you want to fill out, you want to put wavy pattern everywhere, you want to put flowers even, and maybe you have stickers, you can even put stickers on top of this. So now this little doll, or person, whatever you want to call it, is going to represent you. So this one will represent me. Now, beside the page, you can see beside it, there's a blank spot on the right and on the left. What you're gonna do is you are gonna write something. You're gonna write what you are feeling. You can do this in paragraph form, or if you feel like doing this in bullet forms. Now, as I said, don't over analyze it. If something speaks to you, let it speak to you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But don't overthink it. Now, I'm just going to give you 1 minute to think about that, all right? Use this 1 minute to write something short. What are you feeling today? What is your mood? What is this doll trying to tell you? Did the textures, the symbols, the color, do they speak to you? Do they mean anything to you? Did you put any stickers on it? Did the sticker represent anything, or are they just there for aesthetics purposes? All right. So if you're not yet done, you can pause this video and continue on. But as I said, don't overanalyze it. Let's move on to the second activity. We'll need around 2 pieces of paper. Let's start with the first one. It's going to be a blank paper first. So now that we are done with the first activity, I want you to just put it aside. Don't throw it. You don't have to show anybody, but I need you to just put it aside. You can write the date there if you want to. All right, so this time I'm going to be using my sketch pad. You see, this sketch pad of mine is more like my art journal. So if you have assigned a sketchbook or a sketch pad to becoming your art journal, you could actually do this there. So just get any sheet of paper if you don't have any, and maybe you can paste that paper on your art journal if you get one. Now make sure it is a clean paper. Now we are going to take our masking tape. Sorry if my video is a little wobbly. My table is actually a little wobbly, so any movement I do is quite wobbly. So what you're going to do is you're going to eyeball 2 vertical and 2 horizontal lines. This is going to divide your space into 3 by 3 rectangles or square depending on your paper. So just estimate. So I have my 2 vertical lines. I'm now gonna put 2 horizontal lines. Right. Now, if you don't have any masking tape, that's all right. You can use a ruler to put lines to divide these squares into 9. So make sure there's 3, 3, and 3. So this will represent mind, body, spirit, past, present, future, desire, obstacle, solution. So these are just word prompts, okay? In the future, if you want a different word prompt, I can suggest other things. But for this activity, let's stick with this. So now you are going to think of a symbol, just a small little symbol that will represent each of this. So let's start with the top part. What is a symbol that represents the mind? So I equate my mind as a book. So that is my symbol for the mind. Anything cerebral, anything thinking, I equate it to a book. You could draw a brain, you can draw a head, you can draw anything that you want that you feel will represent the mind. So I'm going to be using, as usual, I'm going to be using a mixture of pen, markers, highlighters, pencil color. So I'm just going to randomly select whatever I feel like color. And you can do this as well. You can select different medium. You can even use Cray-Pas or oil pastel if you feel like using it. So just use any medium, any coloring medium that you want. So if your paper is thick enough, like this one, this paper can actually support a bit of watercolor. So now I have my symbol for the mind. We're gonna start with the next one, which is body. So for the body, I've decided to symbolize that through this cup of milk tea with all the pearls on the top and around it. So I usually equate the body with something to eat and something to drink. So I think for me this cup of milk tea embodies everything. So you can, as I said, you can have your own symbol. What do you feel like symbolizes your body? Don't overanalyze, just at the top of your head. Because I'm sure if I do this exercise again in like 3 months or 2 months from now, I think some of my symbols will be different. So the same thing will be for you. At the current moment, what is that symbol? Next, what is a symbol that will represent the spirit? So that is this third box over here. Now I'm going to take my green marker. Sorry, I'll start with some soil first. So I'm going to use my brown again. I seem to like this brown so much. Now I'm going to take my green marker, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this little plant, this little seedling plant. I equate this to the spirit. So if you feed your spirit with nourishment, it's gonna grow into a really, really big tree. So right now, you are just going to feed it with something. So you can, I guess, feed it with water, ample sunlight, fertilizer if you want, and a lot of love and care, of course. All right, so let's go to the second layer. The second layer, the word prompts for that is past, present, future. I'm not asking you what your past is, your present, or what you want in the future. It can be a symbol that represents what you think or what you feel is that represents the past. So I equate my past to a time of learning. So I'm going to draw me as when I was in high school. Actually, that's, I think, the most fun and the most time of my life where I actually had a lot of learning going on. So this is my school uniform, and this is, I guess, what I feel like I look like in the past. So yeah, it could be different for you. It could be a symbol, a scene, or as I said, it could be colors. You can even collage this part if you want. So I'm just going to add some stuff to it. Make it, just add some stuff that I feel like adding. So I'm going to put these pink stripes around. I don't feel like coloring so much of it, so this will be entirely up to you. So as I said, time of learning, that is what I want my past to symbolize. All right, next, past, we have now the present. So what is something that will represent the present? So I don't know if you guys can guess what I'm drawing. So if you happen to guess, I'm actually drawing the coronavirus, or at least what represents the coronavirus. Now I'm going to draw this huge divide here because I feel like this pandemic has divided a lot of people politically, socially, economically, physically, even. So that's the reason for this large divide across here. Now we come to the third part over here, which is the future. What is something that will represent your future or the future? So it could be your particular future, your maybe your family, or what you feel like is the nation's future. So this will be entirely up to you. What I have here is a sewing machine and of course my trusty figure form. So figure form or mannequin form over there. So that is what I feel like the future for me will represent. You see, I had a fashion business and it kind of not really closed, but I'm not accepting orders at the moment because for one thing, I'm just not in the mood. And another thing is I feel like this is not the climate for it. So I used to do couture pieces for humans, for pets, and hat pieces, which is also for humans and for pets. So I'd really like to continue that when things settle down in the future. Right now, I just don't feel like it. I feel like people should be using their money, I guess, for emergency purposes, and for me to convince them that they need a new gown or their doggies need a new gown would be just, I just feel like it's wrong. So that is what I want to do in the future, and that is what I want this to be representative of. So in a way, it's something optimistic for me. All right, so now we will go to the bottom portion. So the bottom portion is what do you want? What is your desire? What is it that you want? So it could be long term, it could be short term. So I'm thinking something long term for me. So the long term goal for me is a house. And this is no ordinary house, by the way. There are some certain things that I want for my house. For one thing is I want a big garden. And another thing that I really, really, really want in my house is a big library, which, yeah, I'm gonna be putting it here just so to remind myself, because this thing is going to remind me. So There's the house with a huge library and garden. Well, if the library, maybe in the attic or something, will be overlooking the garden, that would be great. All right, so now we go on to the middle part, which is what is the obstacle? So what is the obstacle that is hindering me from well, getting what I desire? So if you have a guess, I'm drawing a clock. So what I am saying in this clock is I think I lack time. See, I feel like I'm doing so much and I feel like I don't have enough time for certain things to do what I want to achieve this house with a huge library and garden. So, well, as I said, if I do this activity again in a few months' time, it might be different. I might be doing something different. So now we will come to the last part of the activity, or the last part of this activity, which is what do you think is the solution to this? So this will all pertain to this last portion. What is the solution for you? So I'm drawing this arm over here. This is not my arm because it is a muscled arm. Uh, but it is representative of something. For me, it's just really hard work. So yeah, it's a muscled arm. But as I said, it's just a symbol. It may or may not be you. I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know, gain super muscly arms in the future because most of my work is all online. So I'm just gonna write here, hard work. So now you are done. What you're going to do next is to carefully peel off the tape, the masking tape or painter's tape, whichever you use. If you're using a ruler and pen, so you don't need to do this step, but in my case, I use the masking tape, so I am going to be carefully taking it off. So once you take it off, you can see that you have a clear demarcation for each of your boxes. So there it is. Isn't that, well, not quite pretty, but isn't that very well divided? Now what you can do is you can actually write the word prompts there if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too. So this is it, and I'm actually going to write the word prompt here. So this one represents the mind. I'm going to write it here. Body, spirit. Past, present, future. Desire, obstacle, solution. And there you have it. So now what what you're gonna do is we are gonna start reflecting again what we have drawn here, all these symbols, what they mean to us. Now that's what the next page is for you, or the next piece of paper that you're gonna be using. Or if you feel like it, you can write directly at the back of this. So I don't suggest you write it on this page because there isn't much space to write here. Now, if we had a very big paper, that would be a different story. But since we don't have enough space here, I do suggest that you use a different paper or at the back of this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to write. You can also do the squares again when you're writing. That way it is demarcated and you know what you are pertaining to. You can do this in sentences, paragraph form, or you can do bullet points. That's also all right. So what kind of bullet points is it? You can just write there. Example, for mine, I'm going to write book, cerebral, feed the mind, knowledge is power. So that's what I write there. So for the body, feed your body, healthy food, and sometimes yummy food. Reward with good food. Spirit, feed your spirit with ample nutrition. So what is nutrition for the soul? Good kind words, healthy environment. You can put all those there. Now I'm going to give you 5 minutes to reflect. As I said, don't overthink. Just write whatever's at the top of your head. If you want to reflect on this again later after you write your initial thoughts on the paper, you may do so. But it's really different when you are doing this right now at the moment, just right after you've done your artwork. Your headspace is a little different. You are in a different zone. And please use your pen or pencil to write. Don't write it in your computer. You see, more parts of the brain actually work when you are writing. There is coordination that happens there, from your eyes to your fingers to your brain. That's like different parts of your brain coming together to write and also to create art. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. All right, so you may talk to yourself if you want to. So this 5 minutes is for you to put your thoughts on the paper and to reflect. 5 minutes starts now. All right, our 5 minutes are up, so you may just come back to this later. As I said, don't overanalyze everything. There might be meaning to it, there might not be meaning to it. That's okay. So this exercise is just for you. Now, these are my contact details. You want to contact me through Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. But guys, I can't diagnose you, okay? These types of session is just meant to decompress, to let out your creativity and make you reflect on certain things. Alrighty, so if you want to come back to reflecting it, because I assure you, you have this page of yours, let it rest for a day or two, and then you come back to it and read what you wrote, look at what you drew, and you might have a whole new perspective. Now, as I said, you don't have to post it anywhere, you don't have to show it to anyone, but it is nice to keep it because it could be a record of your mood. It could be like a mood tracker for you. So for the first activity, which is the what's your mood today, you can do that every day. You can do that every week, every month, or every time you feel like you don't know how to really analyze what you're feeling. You know, one of those days when you just feel like, what am I feeling? I feel like a jumble of thoughts inside. Well, this is a good activity to do that. Now you're feeling a little confused, anxious, or just you really want to decompress, you do the second activity right after that. So I do suggest you do the first activity before you do the second. Okay, now don't forget to also do the breathing exercise. So when you're doing that breathing exercise, you're telling your mind, I am going to this frame of thought. I am going to this particular thought process. All right, so don't forget the breathing activity, activity number 1, and then activity number 2. Now you can switch up the word prompts. You want to do something else, you may do that as well. So ways to support me, because I love to make content, but I love for you guys to support me by following my social media channels, liking some of my content, subscribe and like my YouTube videos. And so I have some art series and I have other things about education. So I'm a teacher and I also study and I do a lot of things. So I'm also a writer, so you can buy some of my books and the Amazon store. That would help me greatly. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, most of my books, if not all of my books, are Kindle Unlimited and able. So here it is again, my contact details. Thank you once again, and I hope you guys enjoyed this or at least had some takeaway from this activity. I'll see you all again, and I will try to make another, which would be a little bit different activity, and I will, of course, post it here. See you guys soon. All right. Bye bye and Madayaw, everyone.